Welcome back, friends. So let's continue this idea of play and let's do a little bit of slow stitching. I think I'm going to focus on this one, but before I do that, and I have some readings to share, going back to this idea of color theory or just color in general, I was taking a course and it was really about sewing and being mindful, but onto paper. And that was something totally new for me. And the first prompt was to think about, look at your work and think about colors that you pick often and what does that mean to you. Think about maybe different patterns that you use, I guess even textures and fabrics, but I wanted to kind of focus on colors. And this year, I have been using a lot of blue, and this year is just 2 months in, but I've noticed already that I'm gravitating a little bit more to this, and I think it's because it's calming to me and a soothing sort of color. And so I also looked, and I really like blue and yellows together, and I thought this would look really nice with the green strip back here. And so I'm gonna show you how to do a different technique with maybe some stenciling, but this kind of is gonna mimic that. And what I want to do is just really sew around. It's gonna be different than sewing straight all across, but I'm gonna now just follow this along. And when I first started just doing kind of a slow stitch around a piece, or really it was a stencil, but again, I don't want to give it away too much. It was so soothing. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to worry about, where the lines were. It was already there. And I'm trying really hard not to glue these pieces down this time so that I don't get my needle kind of gummed up, but we'll see how it goes. But the part about this, and it kind of goes in line with play, and I am going to read and talk about why play this month and what are some ways that we can play. But as you're going, I don't know, my brain is engaged. It likes kind of this puzzle idea. So now that I've gotten here, but I also know I want to continue. So it makes me really kind of have to think, spur of the moment, where I place my needle and where it's going to come up and how that looks. Just last night, I believe, I was working on, or actually yesterday, I was working on another project, and I was using the back stitch. So it's just another way, another way to kind of engage your brain, but not necessarily in a way that, you have to, that it's stressful to you, because there's not really any wrong. It's just as long as it looks nice when you're done. So I was reading the book Onward Again. That's about supporting educators and thinking about different ways to do that each month. And March happens to be play and being creative. So I thought sounded perfect to me. Plus, I wanted to get us back into sewing and maybe inspiring each other. So why play for adults? Well, we think of it as something that only kids are doing, right? But we need it too. We need to relax. We need to engage our brains. As many of you may have already read or just know personally, it does relieve stress. That's the whole purpose of this channel, is really to just show you how you can engage with fabric, needle, thread, simple tools that many of us already have around. We don't really have to make something. It doesn't have to be a shirt. Could be a skirt, could be a towel, could be something that you just pull out and you have a shirt that you want to just make look nicer. not a very big stitch right there. So I'm going to work on around. Play improves our relationships as well, because when we play, we don't often play alone. Or if we do, we often want to share either our work, our projects, talk about what we did. So play kind of re-engages us. It's fun. When it's fun, we like to share that with others. And again, it improves our brain function. So just doing this engages your brain. You've got your hand-eye coordination. This is good for students, especially young ones. With of course, like maybe more of a yarn and a needle. But my grandmother always said I would be happy to have something for my hands to do as I get older. Maybe I stop working permanently full-time. I'm not working full-time now, but I am pretty much studying 100% of the time and all the other roles I have in life. And so just keeping the hands busy, but not just that, it's like engaging the brain. And so that's what I was saying about with sewing along in a different shape rather than just straight. Now, if you like straight, and I love the straight stitch as well, just the running stitch, then I can engage my brain often by listening to a podcast, or I've had so much reading, I've learned how to transfer a lot of my readings onto an audio version. And so I can both learn while I'm listening and engaging in this. So I'm activating different parts of my brain. I think I'm going to go ahead and follow this right there. Hopefully I'm trying to keep myself in the camera so you can see what I'm doing and it's not too blurry. But yet I'm not right up in your face if you're watching close. And so think about different ways that you could play with thread and needle. Maybe, think about a different tool that you haven't used, or add a button if you have some. We'll get to bow buttons are so fun. So here's a spot, and I'm actually going to strategically put my needle here. I'll probably come back here eventually, but I'm going to put my needle here, and I'm going to actually go over into this next shape. So I really feel like this is fun for me. It's like a puzzle. How do I get my needle from one side over there without it looking wonky on there? So, but yeah, I'm still really able to use the running stitch. I'm going to continue this running right on along. So that's kind of what we're going to do there. There was one other benefit I wanted to share. Let me look at my notes. Yes. So play kind of is the catalyst to creativity. I think a lot of people feel like you have to be creative in order to play. And what I have discovered as a teacher and just someone who likes to try different things, even when they're hard, is that that's not true. Creativity is already there. We just have to take a chance. And it's kind of all in our minds. It's easier when we have some experience with a thing. But if we recognize, it kind of goes back to the scale we talked about months ago about we know what we don't know. And so then we struggle a little bit through it. But then once we know what we know and we get good at it, and we can move ourselves up a level. And I think for me it helps, especially again, I'll go back to my, I'm going to pivot that over to my watercoloring, in that I have trying to have great patience with myself. And with this work here, the benefit of sewing with needle and thread is if you make a little mistake, it doesn't quite look the way you want, and that way, I guess your Stitch Ripper is your friend because you can undo it. With painting for me, I know that there are some ways to undo some of the things, but I'm not very good about that either, so sometimes it can be stressful. But this week, I just want you to think about how can you play with some of the things we've already talked about, and what different colors, what do you notice about the colors that you're picking, and different shapes or patterns that you have in there. Again, I picked the blue because I know I find it a calming color, and yellow for me is calming as well, and I think that's one of the reasons why. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this and come back and kind of show you where I'm ending up. Hopefully you're working right along with me for a little bit, and we'll have a couple of short videos this week, and next week we'll come back and continue to play in a little bit different way. So have a great week, enjoy some sunshine if you can, and I'll see you in a bit. Bye.